Hi guys, it's me, Ellie. Thank you for coming by to watch this video. Today I want to talk about being a stasis walk-in. So I've made some other videos talking about like incarnation types, and in one I talked about walk-ins and how it relates to the downfall of ancient civilizations. In that particular one, the first chapter I talked about incarnation types and also walk-in types. So to put it briefly, a walk-in is basically someone that comes in and takes over an incarnation. So as you're seeing and feeling and thinking right now, your personal soul, your personal self kind of basically bounces from this body and goes somewhere different, and someone else comes in and it's like someone totally different. That's the concept of a walk-in. In my particular case, I am a stasis walk-in. So that means somebody else came in when I was about 5 years old, was in my body for about a year, and then they left. And I came back, which I didn't, but that's another topic. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit here. So, when I was about 5 years old, well, really, when I was 4, I moved from New York to Michigan. And I do remember not too long before I bounced, so to speak. I remember running up and down these ramps on a moving truck and whatever, and playing with the neighborhood kids. I remember, settling into my new bedroom in this house, and I remember stuff like that before I bounced. And I even kind of remember being in a preschool class at one point. And then I know we were not there for too long because we moved, I believe, in like winter, springish time. Anyways, so I remember one night when I was 5 years old, I went to bed, and when I was walking to bed, I saw a whole bunch of like green and purple sparkles. It was they were kind of going like this, like fireworks almost, or a water fountain, like kind of like going like this. And then I remember going to sleep, and I remember waking up in this like really beautiful place. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Spiral of the Dragon games or played them, and especially the first 2 ones on the PlayStation. And the buildings looked a lot like it. The fairies that lived there looked a lot like them. And, the animals do talk there, which is very interesting. And ironically, the language there is actually English. And the people there were they were very young looking, like, late 20s, early 30s type of deal. The older adult looking individuals, elven, almost like Lord of the Rings, but not quite the same thing, but very similar. Like, they wore a lot of white robes, boots, stuff like that, and had longer hair that was pulled back, and some of them had shorter hair, and everybody was beautiful there. Like, there was no question about it. Like, all the men were handsome, all the women were beautiful, and it was just like flawless skin, flawless hair. Like, they didn't have any of the BS that we got going on here on Earth, the gross stuff, and imperfections and everything. But and I remember, like, it was just very harmonious there. Like, looking back now on these memories, because I think about it all the time, because I still have visited this place as a dream walker, but that's a different story. Like, hold off on that for a moment. And then I remember seeing some really, like, really cool looking plants. Like I remember like bubbles that were on, like really big bubbles that were on like the middle part of the flowers. And I remember it just all the fruits and vegetables were really bright, and apparently they tasted like candy. And like the really delicious foods, like making it so that it's good. It tastes really good to eat healthy. Um, like there weren't any farms there. There weren't any construction machines to make homes, and like some of the homes that looked like the Sprouted Dragon buildings, some of them were built into hills and all this other stuff. And yes, they had wood furniture. They had, a lot of the stuff that we see on Earth. But this place was a lot older than Earth. So we get the inspiration from this place, not them getting the inspiration from us. So don't think that they copied us, because we're really copying them, but that's a whole different topic. So in this particular place, it was just like very harmonious. Like you could, like there was, like, yeah, they used the trees and stuff to make all this stuff and furniture and everything, but it's like you can tell like there's no construction materials, like there's no smoke, there's none of the gross stuff that we see here on Earth making everything. And it was like when you cut down a tree, it's like they just grow it right back, and it's like everything is just, it's perfect there. And magic exists, and it's magic galore there, which is hard to imagine. But Earth is a prison land, but that's a whole different topic. So basically, like this place had a whole lot of beaches, and there was mountains, and there was a whole lot of different cool stuff there, like a lot of crystals underneath the water. Beautiful, perfect place, paradise, utopia. And then at some points in the so-called dream, I remember it being black around, and then there's like a golden orb, and then on the inside, like I would see like myself as in third person, like from way above, like playing in the backyard with the neighborhood kids and all this other stuff, and seeing the house, and also seeing like in first person as if I was like back in this body. And I think I remember at one point I saw it was Christmas, and another point like my birthday, and just like a whole bunch of random stuff. And then another point I remember seeing a tribal land that was in a more arid place, like maybe like Arizona or something like that. And then I remember seeing an Indian man giving a speech of some sort, and I couldn't remember what it was. And it turns out it was Thomas Banyacya when he was talking about the Hopi prophecy. It was sometime in 1996. I had to look it up because I can't remember off the top of my head what the speech was or where it was. But there's a video of it. And so I just thought that was a very interesting tidbit that, I don't know, seeing this particular Indian man giving a speech, and seeing, tribal land and such, Native American land. And when I woke up, I remember seeing like the same sparkles, but instead of like going outwards, they're going inwards. It was almost like a movie playing backwards. Like they were all going like this. And I woke up, and I'm not kidding you, I woke up, went into my closet, and I said, I sure am growing up fast. And then I looked in my closet and I saw clothes I did not recognize. I was just like, okay. Like, I remember in particular a maroon and gray sweater that I know for a fact I did not recognize. That was the first telltale sign, and I was like, all right, something weird happened. But, as a kid, I wasn't really thinking that. I was just kind of like, assimilating back in, as I guess you could say. But then I always thought in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, something weird happened. I was gone, and I don't know what happened. But again, it was all in the back of my head. I never really thought to sit and ask or talk about it with adults because, adults, most of them they're kind of morons, and no offense, but they're morons, and they're going to say stuff like, oh, you just had a really weird dream, or, they're going to take you to a psychiatrist, like, being doped up on medicine and trying to talk about it is, to people who have no idea what you experience, is really going to help, because it's never going to. So I kept my mouth shut, because I was diagnosed with autism when I was younger, and I know what it's like to go to therapists. I know what it's like to go to psychologists, and I knew all this already, so I knew nobody was going to take me seriously. I already knew that at a young age, and this was when I was about 6 years old when I came back, or it was not too long before. Not really, can't quite remember. I think it was a little bit before. But anyways, so as I've gotten older, in the last couple of years, I've gotten into divination. This is my pendulum right here. Okay, so I use this when I am getting my information from my guides and stuff. Yeah, see, I'm not really moving it with my wrist or anything. This is saying no, and then now it's saying yes. And then for more information. Yeah, so you can see I'm not really screwing around with my wrist or anything. It is moving on its own. I'm just holding my arm because my arm gets a little bit tired sometimes, just holding up like that because I need to work out more. Not going to lie. Shut up. Shut up, whoever's talking. Anyway, so I use this pendulum, and then I have an ABC chart. Like, the letters are closer to the epicenter so that they can talk a little bit faster because I'm really impatient. And then I have the numbers in the middle, have the bunch of nicknames of all my guides on here. And that's how I get my information. And some of the guides I talk to include Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec deities, which, by the way, Quetzalcoatl's a she, not a he. And her name is Quetzalcoatl Kukulkan. So there's the Aztec Mayan names, equivalents going on there. Hades, Odin. Hela, the Nordic goddess of death. Loki, Freyr. King of Atlantis, True Vixie. Really awesome guide. I mean, all of my guides are super awesome. I'm only allowed to get the top ones, but there's a reason for that, and that's not really the topic of this. That's not really the topic of this discussion right now. But anywho, so yeah, true, Atlantis does exist. I've been there as a dream walker, not a dream sharer, which is what people call dream walking. Like when you share a dream, like no, that's called dream sharing, and that's not really a serious talent, in my opinion, no offense. Like, that's just, deities making this, and seers, so to speak, making it so that you share a dream. And it's not really, doesn't really do much of anything, in my opinion. But dream walking is basically where the astral body enters the physical body, and then you go through a portal and you do stuff in the astral planes, or you even go to the Faye Realm, or, do other stuff, and, if you're authorized to do so. Astral projection is, a lot of it's really witnessing what your astral body is doing in the astral planes. So there's some key differences. The internet does have wrong. It's dream sharing, not dream walking. Dream walking is really when you're doing this, and there are illusions that do happen, or sometimes you have to rush back, and dream walking it does explain why people wake up in a sweat, like they feel like they ran a marathon, and it's like, oh, boss, here all along. It's like, are you sure about that? Or sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. I will say that. I've learned that, and I've seen things manifest, and I've experienced so many things that, it's like, hey, what? You guys have no idea what you're talking about. So you see it, you breathe it, you feel it, with all your senses, and it's like you're not hallucinating it. It's kind of gets to a point where it's like, all right, maybe truth really is stranger than fiction, and it's that's just so true with anything, really. And when it comes to Atlantis, it physically does exist in the astral planes, and the astral planes are physical, but you're never going to find it in this physical realm, and mankind will never find it because they're just not. Truvixie and everybody else, they're all just not going to let you find it. Deities, Faye, other non-human ET races are just not going to let you find it. Sorry. It's not happening. Anyway, so just want to put that tidbit out there. So now when it comes to me being back on Earth, I'm not going to lie, you guys. I absolutely don't want to be here any longer. Like, the more I've learned from my guides about why I'm really on Earth and just why everything has happened the way it's happened, and I've watched so many of my readings manifest one way or another, and the things they've said that they've hinted at before just manifesting months later or even like almost a year later. I could write a whole bunch of stuff down and explain it all away, but they do exist. They do talk through pendulums and stuff. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I feel done with this lifetime. Like, I have been feeling really angry that I ever came back to Earth. It's like, I'm looking back at my life lately, and I feel like I've experienced so many things. Like, I've experienced, like, seeing demons. I've experienced seeing this really weird stuff. Like, and I'm going to say this right now. I saw there's a day when I was like almost 17 years old where, and this reminds me of the place I went to when I was not on Earth, and I saw this beautiful man in a field one day when I was in the park with my family, and I saw in a field standing on a rock this elven looking man, just absolutely beautiful man. He had platinum blonde hair pulled back, kind of reminded me of Legolas from Lord of the Rings for a second. Like, he had boots and white robe, and oh my god, I saw him, and he was, I could tell, I couldn't see his face, but he was absolutely the most handsome man ever. Oh my goodness. And I just looked at him for like 7 minutes about, like, I was just looking at him like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I was just staring and staring, and I was just like staring in awe, and I was just like, I just felt absolute joy. And like, it's just really pathetic, but this was like the happiest 7 minutes of my life as of today. And I remember I looked away and looked at my family like they were absolutely oblivious to the fact that this man was just standing there on this rock. It's like staring off into the distance. And then I looked back, he was still there. Looked at him for like a couple more minutes, and then I looked back at my family. Again, they don't see this man there, and like they don't know that I'm still here. I'm like, what is going on? How do you not see this gorgeous man? And then I looked back and he was gone. Oh my god. I was so devastated when he was gone, you guys. Devastated. I was like, what in the hell? And I remember at one point when I looked at him, I said to myself, marry me. It sounds ridiculous, but I was looking at this man and I'm like, I just like feel like I fell in love at first sight. Like, I was like, marry me. Like, just thinking that, marry me. Like, I just could not stop these feelings, and so I saw him and he was gone, and this is completely insane, but this is to prove that he was really there, I guess, is why this happened. So my mother was, we ended up going to a different part of the park at some point. Like, they stopped talking, whatever, and then I think we were getting ready to leave, and my mom looked, and she was talking about turkeys on the water. Like, her vision was really blurry, apparently, and she was, like, seeing, like, some so-called turkeys on the water. And we all laugh about it to this day, but I think they eventually diagnosed her with ocular rosacea. I don't know if she still gets any treatments for her or whatever, but, like, she was complaining about these turkeys on the water, and I didn't think they connected dots at the time, but I was just like, what? Like, it sounds so bizarre. And I never told them about the man that I saw that they completely didn't see. But yeah, so the turkeys on the water was an illusion, and it was the illusion that man created, and it was basically to prove, like, yes, I was there, you saw me, and I'm going to create an illusion and for your mother to see, to prove that I was freaking here and you were seeing something, and we're gonna make her see something. Apparently, she was being given a glance of water elementals that, only she was seeing, but they were looking different than how they usually look. It was so weird, like, and so random. It's like, you can't make stuff like that up. Like, it's like, it was just the weirdest thing, and that it was just a very interesting day, and it just it just confirmed to me that I was in this place. And I'm just asking my Pendulum real quick if I should talk about who it is, and it's just gonna sound crazy, y'all, but that man that I saw was the king of Vanalfheim. So it's Vanaheim and Alfheim, and it's actually one place, and that's why the descriptions of them in Norse Cosmology are very similar, but, like, no one knows where they're really at or what they really look like. But I realized only recently that, who this man is, and I'm the only person on Earth this man has ever presented himself to. And he is the king of Vanalfheim. But get this. The whole land of, like, where you pick out all the fruit you want and it just goes right back, and, the land of the undying lands, being in the eternal bodies and walking the many gardens. That's where he is, Vanalfheim. That's heaven. And it physically exists. It's real. In a place that they're talking about with no rivers and stuff. That's a different place of heaven, but this particular place, Vanalfheim, is like the place where the best souls go. And then, souls can go to different places, different planets, different star systems and stuff like that. And, well, the place that he's from is like the top planet that you can possibly go to. Like, it's reserved for the best souls, like the true heaven that you want to go to. And he is the king there, and the king is God. And I'm the only person on Earth, and who's ever lived and walked on Earth, I'm the only person he has physically presented himself to. And I guess when other people see what they call God in, like, these once-in-a-lifetime type of dreams where they're talking to God, and, they see what they call Jesus Christ, who, by the way, that's not God, that's someone totally different, and it's not a good thing, but again, that's a different topic of discussion. But usually they'll see like a really bright light and they won't really see his true face. And they might see like a little silhouette, or they might see, like an illusion. But he presented himself to me and showed up for me as his true physical self, and I couldn't believe what I was getting from this. I was like, he came to Earth that day and just amazed me by his near presence. And I think about that every day. And I'm going to say this, I've actually seen him I've seen him several other times, and it's like, I felt someone with, like, especially when I'm like outside and there's like wooded trees in the distance, like woods, or, just like a little wooded area or whatever. And there's been times where I felt like someone was watching me, like just lovingly watching me. And I would see a blonde man with a white robe in the distance, and I'm like, oh my god, like I thought I was hallucinating, and just like not really connecting the dots back in those days. But like, I've seen this man several times, and that one time when I was 16 years old, I just saw him a lot closer. And it's like every single time I've seen this man, just the same, like, wow factor, like the same beautiful man, holy crap kind of thing, and it's a complete reminder of where I was, and that's where I'm going after I'm done here. And this is going to sound really depressing, you guys, but like, I'm so done living here. Like, I know what's waiting for me, and it sucks because I just don't want to be here anymore, like, I've experienced so much in this lifetime. Like, I have so many unique experiences. Like, I was a troublemaker when I was younger, and I did a lot of bad SHIT. I've gotten suspended from school a lot, detentions, living it up a little bit. Not like, going to parties or anything like that, but, just causing some trouble, having these unique experiences, a lot of failed relationships, but knowing that I went for it anyways kind of deal. And, doing crazy things, like I'm going to spontaneously take a bus to go see an ex-boyfriend because when I moved here, he was really struggling, with my being gone, and I found out about it, and I came up on a bus, which, apparently that took some balls, going up on a bus randomly with like a bunch of strange people and stuff like that. And, in this lifetime, I've befriended people from all kinds of walks of life. I've spoken with people from all walks of life. I've experienced a lot of traumas in this lifetime that I've overcome, like illiteracy. Yes, I had to teach myself how to read. I've been cheated on. I've been, physically abused before. Sexually assaulted, and part of the Me Too movement. I know it's not to be taken lightly, but it's happened, and I've never admitted this in any other video, but I was molested when I was 4 years old, and that is what triggered me to be a walk for Athena. That she had an incarnation that came into me for about a year, and she came in and took over and healed this body after this, and for years. And the reason why I know this is because, like, I used to have like accidents when I was younger, and I remember I used to touch myself weirdly in weird places that, a little too frequently maybe. And I remember having this dream about being in a white room, and it looked like, the walls needed to be washed. And I remember, like, video games galore on this wall. And I couldn't, and I don't remember what all was going on in this dream. Like, I couldn't remember feeling stuff, but, like, I know in this particular dream, it kept causing me anxiety, and I knew something bad was happening, but I didn't know what. And then I remember looking back, like, a whole, like, weird stuff was going on. I think my mom was assuming that all this stuff was going on because of my autism, and that's what she boiled it down to. And she did admit at one point that me and my siblings went to this man's house down the street, and thank God you guys were never there long and whatever, but we were there, and I don't know why we were there, but I'm young, naive, I don't know. Guess adults did some weird things back in the 90s and let kids do weird things. I don't know. I can't really explain why. But apparently that same man was caught molesting his children years later. So I asked my guides if I was really molested, because I couldn't really prove it, but I felt like I was. And they said, yes, you were. And they started to talk about what really happened. And that's why I had to walk out of this body, go to Vanalfheim, and in my immortal body, which is now gone, they're going to make a new one for me. We can do that. And I came back, and then after a year or so, and now I'm here, and it's like I've experienced so many things in this lifetime, being back, seeing so many supernatural things. I've seen and experienced so many, like, interesting things. Like, I haven't traveled a whole lot around the world, but it's just like, it's just weird, I guess, because it's like, when you've experienced the weird things I have that no one else has, like, I feel complete in this life. I feel like, I don't know, it's like my guides told me, like, I have a soulmate that really needs me and really wants to be with me, but hasn't found me yet, and, has never, like, had, and they told me who it was, and, I found out who, and I asked Hella who, or, not Hella, but I asked out loud who my soulmate is. They showed me him, and I didn't believe it. I'm like, there's no freaking way this person is my soulmate, okay? I don't know who this joker is that is responding to me, and I'm like, no, it's not this person. I could tell you that right now. This person would never like me. And apparently it was Hella, and now I'm, like, kind of seeing the signs that it is this person, and I'm like, okay. But the problem is they're a little bit inaccessible. Like, how am I supposed to stand out to this person? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that is that. But it's so weird, because it's like, yeah, it would be cool to go to India, like, where my grandmother is from, and the magical stories that she used to talk about, and being able to, see these different places like Egypt, India, just travel a little bit. It's like, it would be nice, but honestly, it sounds really terrible, but I just want my eternal life now. Like, I don't care that much about seeing these places. It's like, I have a 7-year-old that, doesn't need me. But it's like, it's bad, because it's like, I could die tomorrow, and I could go back to this place, and I would not feel regrets, really, about this lifetime. It's like, I hate how a lot of my failed relationships work, and, I admit that right now, like, my circumstances aren't the greatest, because my finances suck from taking my dog to the freaking hospital last year and getting surgery, and then, I have a house that, done some repairs and updates to, and, a whole bunch of other stuff that's making it so my life is a bit of a financial crap show, but, I'm getting good tax return this year, so I can fix my finances. But anyway, so I'm at a point in my life, and I'm only 32 years old, so that's the really depressing part. I could cross over tomorrow, die tomorrow, whatever, and I know that my son would also come with me, because he's also been there too. Completely different part from where I'm used to going, but I could cross over tomorrow across the so-called Rainbow Bridge, the Bifrost, so to speak, and back to this place and live my eternal life that I earn and want to have and everything. And honestly, I would not have regrets, like I have a lot of things I do smile back on and stuff. It's like financially I'm poor, but my life is rich. Like with all my unique experiences, like my life I've experienced so much stuff and it's rich, but honestly, I feel done. Like it's like, yeah, I have a decent job that, I would like a raise, but yeah, different story. That's a whole different topic. But I feel complete, like I could cross over tomorrow and it's like, I'm happy with the way, I'm just happy being here, like I feel like it's like, yeah, there's things that would be kind of nice to do while I'm still here, but it's like, if I crossed over tomorrow, it's like, I'm not going to be traumatized. It's like, because it's like, hey, you know what? I'm done. Like, I feel like I accomplished my stuff. It's like, I know, like, who my soulmate is, and, and I know, like, that they really want to be with me and stuff is what they're telling me, but it's like, you guys, it sounds horrible, but it's like, I just want to freaking go back, I don't want to be here anymore. It's like, I feel like there's very little that's keeping me here, like, and making me feel an intense desire to, like, stick around, It's like, I don't want to, like, end my life myself, because it's like, I know, like, dying is painful and stuff, and it's like, holy crap, man. It's like, I tried killing myself, and it didn't work, and I had to drink charcoal and all this other stuff to get all the pills out of me, my system. It was awful, just downright awful. So, I don't know. I feel so done, like I could just leave and that would be it. I would be so okay just leaving and like letting some other soul just come back in and take over, whether it's Athena or whoever else. Like, I'm just done, I'm done living this lifetime. Like, I could just leave and that would be it, But, I don't know. I'm here. I guess my soulmate here needs me. Because apparently, if I don't marry this person, they're going to be asleep for like 150,000 years. They're going to be watching me, do the deed with, like, because apparently who I'm going to has many souls in them. And I'm going to have many souls in me. Like, because I have many higher selves and so do they. It's going to be that man that I saw on the field. That's who I'm going to be marrying, and that's who my soulmate's supposed to go to on Earth. It's a very complicated thing, but yeah, so he's going to be my husband. Hooray. But yeah, so that's a small tidbit of what my eternity is going to look like, my eternal life. And I want it now, and it's like, I'm so done with Earth, it's ridiculous. Like, I could just cross over right now. He does have he has a lookalike on Earth, his incarnation, and that's my soulmate on Earth, and it's like, god dang it, like, it's like, I know what they look like, and they're very handsome, by the way, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, man, I don't want to be here no more. Let's just freaking leave. But apparently I have to marry them here and make them happy on Earth so that they come back in one piece. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done. I feel accomplished. I feel like I'm just done living here. This sounds terrible. So, anyways, so This is my experience as a stasis walk-in. I know you may have felt like I rambled on. I'm sorry about that. But being a walk-in, particularly a stasis walk-in, knowing that you crossed over to someone else and then you came back and have absolutely no memories of being here during that year you were gone, and coming back and seeing clothes you don't recognize in your closet and seeing things are totally different in your room in some respects. It was a pretty mind-blowing experience as a child, but like I said, I'm not gonna you can't really talk about that as a kid because no one's gonna really believe me. So I hope that you found this video somewhat interesting. If you bear to watch the whole thing, thank you for stopping by, and I hope that you found it interesting or maybe even insightful to understand maybe your own experiences one way or another. Thank you for watching this. Have a good night, and I'm very happy that you decided to hear me talk my heart out because I've been thinking about this a lot. Have a good night. Thanks.